Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuse Help. And today we are going to get into a brand new tutorial series, and this one's going to be on Python. Now, as far as this goes, we're taking cues from the Android tutorial series, and what I'm going to do is I'm trying to make these videos in bite-sized chunks, and that way it doesn't overload you as a new coder or someone who's been around for a while and just trying to find certain information, and that way you can get what you need. Now, with this, what I want to tell you is this particular video is going to be introduction into Python, so you know why you want to code for it, the difference between it and Java, and some very high level stuff, not in the weeds type of deal. But we're also going to get into a few other things like requirements for this tutorial series. And with that, let's get into the requirements. Now, real quick, what I'm expecting for you to already have knowledge in is in GitHub. If not, I will have a link to a video below, which will actually get you into GitHub. And now, as far as the other things you need, and keep in mind, the links down below in the description. One of them will be to my GitHub profile. You go there and check out the code. Some of it will be Python, a lot of it will be Android and some other stuff, but some of it will be Python. And check out that stuff, and that way you can play with it and do what you need to do to learn this stuff. It will help you get a grasp on things. But as far as some of the stuff you need is, in order to stay with this series, is you need to download the Python. I will have a link to this, and also download the Notepad++. I prefer to use Notepad++. You can code in multiple things, but Notepad++ is a common tool across people. Maybe not companies itself. They may use a particular thing, but hobbyists and things of this nature will tend to use Notepad++ for coding. It's just much easier to do that. So as far as the next video, I'll get more into the installation process, but for this one, we're just going to finish this up with what is Python, reasons to learn Python, and easier to learn. And this is going to be comparing Java and Python real quick. But what is Python? What was it? Can it be used for? It could be used to make games, websites, web apps, scripts, R&D. In fact, it's heavily used for scripts and desktop apps and things of this nature. So pretty much across the board. It's not a complex code, so that's one thing to keep in mind, but most of what's out there is not complex. The reasons to learn it is Python is known to be one of the easier languages to learn. In many companies, Facebook, Cisco, and many others use Python to some extent, if not fully. Now, as far as easier to learn, as far as Python's being easier to learn, you're never going to master a language with coding. It's not like Spanish, English, French, so on and so on. With those languages, you can master pretty well. With this, not so much. You're never really going to master a coding language. And you really need to know multiple coding languages, at least the fundamentals behind them, syntax and things of this nature. Or at least you know how to use workstations to the point where they can help you out to a point. But you need to be able to run the fundamentals. You need to know what a variable integer and a few other things are, and that way you can go from one language to another, and you can go from one project to another without having a problem at all. Now, with the what I'm going to teach and what many others teach is something that will get you the fundamentals, and then what I tried to instill is how do you use the fundamentals to figure out what you need to search on Google? Because this is one thing they don't really teach in schools. And I think it's starting to take place since I think many teachers were realizing things on the internet is updating faster than a school itself can update its own textbooks and stuff, and its own teachers and stuff. And it's really more about knowing how to do research. So if I gave you a problem, let's take Lowe's, for example. Major franchises like Lowe's, which is a hardware store, what they use for applications, resumes, is you'll send in a resume for a given job. It's a low-end job. And a computer will use an algorithm, look over it, so the computer will automatically do it. And what will come back to the manager is green check or a green box, a yellow box, or a red box. They may change this by now, but it's pretty close. And across the board, you're going to see stuff like this. And what would end up happening is the green box says interview the person, that might be good. Yellow box says it needs more review. Red box is throw it a thing. In fact, the red boxes most of the time don't even go to the manager. It's just automatically deleted. So how would you search out on Google? Do you know what to search for? And the chances are is no. So with knowing the fundamentals, you would know what to search for, or at least you know how to start. And then when you run into a problem, what to bypass that problem. It's as simple as that. Now, as far as Python versus Java, again, Python is easier to learn. Basically universal, it's known that. Personally, I say I like Java more, but Python is easier to learn at the end of the day. Java is used as heavily as Python. Python is getting, in fact, Java is used more than Python, but Python's getting up there, so it's worthwhile to note that. Python, the major thing with Python is not a lot transfers between languages. There's a handful of things, variables and things of this nature. But with Java, a lot of the rules and a lot of stuff does transfer over. Syntax changes between languages, but if you learn Java, you can pick up any of the C languages just fine. You can pick up Cobalt. You can pick up many languages out there. So it's worthwhile to pick up Java. If you're going to just study Python, that's your own thing. But my recommendation is learn Java also. Either learn it at the same time or learn one after another. Flip a coin, figure out which one you want to do first. But for the most part, with Java, I personally see it as a necessary thing to learn. And check out my Android tutorials, because with Android, we code with Java and XML. But that will give you a leg up on understanding this stuff. Now, with Python, it's harder to review the code, where Java, it's easier. So with Java, all the variables are defined up front. So it's easier for me to look at your code and know exactly what's going on. Whereas Python is known as dynamic typing, which your variables can change. Your variable and variable type can change during the code itself, and that can be very confusing. So let's pull up CMD. I get more into this into the next video, but for the most part, if we pull up CMD, type in Python, and we got all stuff set up for my next video, you'll go in this, and let's say normally with Java and stuff, you'll have like int for integer, a variable name, and then you'll have the numbers. Well, with Python, it's not that case. So we'll have the variable name, let's say A, and then the integer is 1. Let's say B is an error 1. So we press A, it says 1, B, it says 2. Well, if I want to change that to that, it just changed it. So, but I mean, obviously the other one stayed the same. So why is that important? Imagine the code changing it 30 or so times out through, changing the A variable 30 or so times out through. It can get very complicated very fast. And it's hard for someone else to just walk up and understand your code out of the box like that. Where with Java and many of these others, I can walk up, take a look at it. I might have to go back and forth between 2 things or 3 things, and that's just how those codes work. But for the most part, I can walk up and I'll know exactly what type of variable this is, and I'll know exactly what this variable is supposed to be, and I'll know each and every part, and I can match it. In fact, what happens on many workstations is with things that are not like Python. Python is dynamic typing. Things that are not dynamic typing, then what would end up happening is you can do a refactor, and I'll try to get more into refactoring later. I got into and enjoyed, if you want to skip ahead on to that. But basically, you can do a rename on, say, a variable or a container, and then you change all the parts instead of just doing this little game as you saw there. So with that, if you have any questions or anything like that, another thing before I forget, Python, one of the advantages to using Python is the you don't have to have outside files. I can't think of the name on top of my head, but on the next video I cover this a little bit more and I show actual examples. But you don't need outside files for the most part. And as far as that goes, the size, as far as line by line, if you code something in Java versus Python, same exact things happen. With Python, it's 20 to 30% of whatever it takes for Java. Normally, not always, but normally you can actually have it down to 20 to 30% of what it will take for in Java. And that's important to note, so it saves a little bit of time there. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much all I'm covering in this video, so it doesn't overload anyone. If you do have any questions, leave that down below in the comment section, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. Leave a like, subscribe, and share. And see you next video. Have a good day.